Hey, welcome to another edition of the Big Joel podcast. Today, very exciting day for me because I've got one of my friends, but he's not only my friend, he's the number, I don't even know, I'm going to let him tell us in a little bit. He's the number something very high in the country loan officer. For those of you that don't know what a loan officer is, those are people that do residential mortgages for people that need to buy houses. And the average loan officer, just so you know, I think does maybe 2 loans a month, maybe on average, maybe 3 to 36 loans a year. This guy, Andrew Marquis in Boston, is a great story, not just because he does tons of loans, but he's a great story because he totally morphed and changed his business. It's something I want to talk to him about today because he didn't start off doing tons of loans with agents. He started off doing it a different way and was smart enough, and I think he's kind of crazy enough to completely turn his business around and get to the top of the heap real quick. So today I've got Andrew Marquis with me. He's on video. He's on Skype. That's another story for another time. And so he's live with me in the studio, but not really here. From the Boston metro area. Andrew works for Guaranteed Rate. You've probably seen the commercials. I think they're G-Rate, right, on the commercials, but the Guaranteed Rate. And Andrew, tell us a little bit about, first of all, just tell everyone, because a lot of people listening to this are going to be mortgage and real estate people. So just brag, give me the quick brag, 2016, 2017, just give me your numbers real quick. And you know I'm a unit guy. You know I don't care about the volume.
Sure, you don't care about the
Give me the
loan amounts.
units. That's right.
How could I live up to that intro, Joel? That was great.
That's right.
So I would say in both years I closed about 660 transactions. So it ends up being about 55 to 60 a month, something like that. The volume tally was 252 million in 16. 278 million in 2017.
Where'd that put you on the big boy chart for 2017?
I think it was number 7 on the Scotsman guide.
Excellent. And within Guaranteed Rate?
Number 2.
Number 2. And we're going to talk about that number 2 for a minute because you are so competitive that we want to talk about that. Because the other thing I want to share with you today, when we start talking, all you mortgage people that are listening, and I hope you're listening and you're going to need to take some notes, is that this guy doesn't have a whole hit squad of loan officers taking loans in his name. This guy's closing 50-plus loans a month on average, and he's originating them himself. Yes, of course he has support staff that he delegates to, but the actual originating the loan, he's doing it. So every loan that he closes, he originated. So that's why you really want to pay attention today because you're going to get some great nuggets of how to build out an origination business and have a great time doing it and have super happy clients and very happy referral partners. So Andrew, just with that as a sort of as a layup, just overall, tell me what you think about the business, how you feel about it, 2018, where you think it's going, and then I want to get into exactly what you do.
Yeah, so it's around here, Joel. It's a very challenging market right now. With interest rates going up, it seems that every transaction is highly competitive. There's a lot of lenders vying for that same piece of business. But I think it ultimately comes down to the relationship with the referral partner. So when you talked in the intro about my transition to purchase business, it's heavily focused on the referral partner. It's important that the customer have a great experience and be happy. That's a given. But to really wow that referral partner and treat them like gold, because they're the ones that are going to keep coming back and back and back with questions and more clients and referrals. And so that's really where I focus majority of my attention and my day is in that referral partner.
Now, I tell loan officers all the time when I'm doing training and coaching or whatever, I say when a real estate agent looks at you, what they're thinking subconsciously is a combination of every dummy, unprofessional loan officer that they have ever dealt with. So the second you open their mouth, they're already thinking he's not going to return my calls. He's going to disappear. My file's going to close late. My customer's going to be mad. It's going to be a cluster, what. And
Right.
and I've been coaching and mentoring agents since 1997. I'm not making this up. This is what they think. So when loan officers think, when they sit down with their cool brochures and everything for their coffee meetings and they just sit down and go for the jugular right away, they don't really understand that the agents are looking at them like they're insane. Like literally, you can keep talking all you want. I don't care because people do business with people they like, correct? And that's where it sounds like where you're going. So, tell everyone, this I get asked this question all the time because I teach the same stuff that you're killing right now, the relationship
Sure.
stuff. And people are always like, well, how do you do it? And I always answer, well, it's kind of hard actually, because you actually kind of have to like people. You can't hate people. Talk about that a little bit.
You really have to understand that everyone, like with the referral partner, Joel, they're trying to achieve something to benefit them and their client. At the end of the day, I may do a lot of volume and a lot of units, but they really don't care about that. That's me. That's not them. So you always have to kind of put yourself in that person's position. And, it seems like they're always dealing with a high level of stress, whatever it is. And I think the easier you can try to see their side of it and try to help them through that issue and navigate that channel, the better off you're going to be, versus just sort of not picking up their phone call. And the thing I like to say is you're only as good as the last deal you closed, right? So, I have a realtor
So
that's
true.
referred me
Yeah.
100 deals. If I screw up the 101st deal, I'm axed,
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I talked to my processor the other day and we were having a bit of a challenge with a file. And she said, no, we'll fix it this way. And she goes, come on, Andrew, we never deny loans. And it's true. I mean, in a year, if we close 660 loans, we literally might take 664 loans. Like they don't go past me unless they're going to close. So the way I have it set up is I'll pre-approve that client. I screen the credit, screen the income, ask all the challenging questions, pick out any snafus that are possibly going to exist in that processing of that loan. And then my sales assistant does the same thing. And then the processor does the same thing. So that loan is literally not getting downstream if there's a potential challenge forthcoming. And I think that's critical. I think it's just you take that loan, you take the extra time up front to set it up well.
I want to interrupt you right there. Okay, what you just said, we can stop the podcast right now. We can end it. If people just literally did what you just said to do, and by the way, that blew by almost everybody. If you take the time to set it up correctly up front, game, set, match, correct? One of the biggest problems I see with loan officers is they throw crap in and pray.
Correct. Yes, correct.
And I just want to make sure everyone heard that. Yeah.
That's a huge one. No, and I feel like to take that extra 5 to 10 minutes on the front end, Joel, and really screen the loan, and then not only screen it, but explain it, tell the story to the next person downstream. Because if you don't tell them, I've already collected X, Y, and Z documents, they're changing employment, they're changing in 2 weeks, but they have an offer letter, we're writing a delayed employment loan.
So Andrew, tell me in your system, okay, and everyone has different software, but do you tell the story? Are you really putting significant notes in your system so everyone can read the notes? Are you old schooling it on a file? How are you telling the story?
I'm generally old school. It's funny
That's okay.
you say
no,
that.
it's okay.
I don't really use a CRM. There's a lot of stuff that I need to put into place, Joel, but I use Outlook, so all my appointments, all my calls, everything is just in Outlook. And,
me too.
When I type notes on a file, it's in Outlook. It's in an email. Now we have a conversation log, so the way I work is anything that comes in via email, whether it's my notes, borrower documentation, it all has to be immediately uploaded to the portal. So we have a secure portal here for all the files that all the processors can access. And I say, put it in there because I don't want the client coming, I already sent Andrew my W-2. The first place the processor looks for anything is in that portal. We call it transfer safe. And so everything goes in there and it avoids the duplicate requests. It avoids the, client not, feeling like they're having to tell the same story twice. So I'm very much an old school guy, but again, I just think setting up the file properly on the front end and making sure the next person in that process understands everything. Loans are just going to fly through. You can't close 55, 60 loans a month, whatever that number is, without that kind of assembly line. Yes, you could do 3 or 4 haphazardly, but you can't have a high volume if loans are going this way and that way and sideways and backwards. You've really got to have.
And the time up front, I tell the story all the time. I'm not going to say this person's name because a lot of people might know this person, but someone that I work with one-on-one, and I was having a meeting with him and his LOA. And he does a fair amount of business, and his LOA is fairly highly compensated. So she's doing a little bit more than normal LOAs would be, almost partnering with him a little bit. So very, very busy. And we were sitting at lunch, and I looked over at her, and I said, so are there some things that, Mr. X over here could do better? And she kind of went, She didn't want to say anything. And I said, come on, come on. You could tell me it's okay. And, he said, it's okay. And she said, well, when Mr. X gets the employment information, if there's another employer, if it's within 12 months, there's another employer, he doesn't give me that much information. And I said, okay, what do you mean? And she said, well, I said, so you got to get it all? And I said, or does he give you like the I of IBM and let you guess off the I? And she kind of just chuckled a little bit, okay? And she said, well, she kind of went, well, sort of. She was very uncomfortable, okay? And he turned to her, and he looked at her very nicely, not meanly, and said, hey, listen, I need you to get that. I pay you a lot of money. I just need you to get that so I can get more loans. Right. So I said to her, hey, that's great. You guys can do your business rules however you want. Hey, LOA, how long does it take to get that? And she looked at me and she said, 35, 40 minutes. And I just turned my whole body back to the loan officer and I said, so you're complaining that you can't get over 20 loans a month because your LOA is so busy, and something that could have taken you literally 20 seconds to get from the borrower, she's spending 40 minutes tracking down because you gave her the I of IBM.
LinkedIn. She's trying to do LinkedIn and all this other stuff because she doesn't want to call the client again.
And he looked at me and he went, yeah, I'll be getting that from now on. Meaning it's what you're saying. Do it right up front. Take 10 minutes. And my business was like yours, Andrew. If I took 40 loans, I closed 40 loans. If they went through, that's what I closed. That's how I did it. But I spent the time up front when I handed it in. Unless there was, fraud in there or a bad VOE or low appraisal.
Appraisal, right?
No touchy.
Right.
I know that's going. So just to recap, I want to come back on something because you blew by it really quick and it was important. And if you're not listening the right way, you didn't hear it. You said understanding what the agent is thinking, understanding how their business is running. Again, most loan officers, they're not getting that. So they're operating in a way they don't understand. First of all, their client is their agent partner. And they don't understand that maybe that referral that you got, that loan that you're doing, they might have referred 10 people to that agent, 10 people to them. That's how important that this is not one transaction. This is 10, 11. This is a whole referral network. And you have to operate as such. And I heard you say it. You said it fast. I just wanted to come back and say it again because a lot of loan officers, when I'm doing coaching and whatever, they're not totally getting that. They're not in the agent's head. I don't know if you have anything else on that to sort of unpack.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the agent. It's really like the term we used to use, I think, when I worked with you at a prior company, it was insure the commission for the agent, right? The agent just wants to know that you have that deal. And so like the way I position it with my agents, I say, look, when you get me the deal, the deal is going to close. And they sit there and they nod their head because it always does. We get it done. It's good communication. It's done. But then I partner with them, Joel, and I say, well, how can we increase and get you more leads? Whether it's we're going to, do some sort of seminar, we're going to do some kind of business planning, or we're going to, partner up on Zillow or something, as much as I'm not a huge Zillow person. But in any event, there's ways to partner with that agent to try to increase their business so you can insure even more of their commission. And that's really what they're looking for. They don't care that, I did 600 loans. They really, that's not of interest to the realtor.
Well, good agents that understand the value of partnering with a good loan officer knock it out of the park. And there are agents that go through their whole career and never truly partner with a loan officer. They don't. And when you're partnering, you're working together, and really, really great things happen. So far we have relationship. I'm taking some notes. The upfront thing is phenomenal. And if I'm in a room of 50 loan officers and one person spends the extra time up front, I mean, most of the time loan officers are thinking, hey, I'm too busy to do that. You guys just deal with it later. Meanwhile, they take 2 minutes on the front and it takes 9 hours on the back to clean it up. They could have set it up for 20 minutes and you get 0 hours on the back.
Right.
Because you set it up correctly. And I want everyone to understand, this is a guy doing 50 loans a month. So don't blow the stuff at me that you're too busy. Okay? This is also a guy that doesn't have 9 LOAs, everybody. Okay? He does not. All right. So don't also think, oh, the only way he could be doing that is because he has 9 LOAs. He does not, everyone. So this is I love having him on my show because Everyone can originate loans like Andrew Marquis. He doesn't have a whole hit crew. He's not cheating with other LOs taking loans that are closing in his name. He's doing it, and you can do it too. I also had Communicate, which, again, is another choke point for so many loan officers. Can't tell you on the one-on-one coaching I do, Andrew, when the LOAs, when I get them alone in the room and they're like, yeah, if we just knew what he was thinking, we could get so much more done. And then they're all talking to each other. And then the next person doesn't know. And then this person didn't know that, they're getting a gift from Uncle Billy. It's not from Uncle Max. It's from Uncle Billy. Whatever it is, they're chasing their tail. And it all starts with the loan officer because he didn't tell. Yeah. He played keep away.
Right.
And what I heard you say was, hey, guys, you want to close a lot of loans? You better be communicating.
Right.
Correct?
Totally. I think communication is the key in really anything in life, Joel. It is.
In the file. Yeah. And the other thing I want to make sure everyone heard is you're not using anything fancy. So don't listen to this podcast and say, oh, well, I don't have this kind of software, so I can't do it. Andrew Marquis, people, is using Outlook. He does it the way I do it. He's using Outlook in his email. Everyone has Outlook and email.
Notepad.
And a what?
Right. And a notepad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A
notepad. Yeah, that's right. I'm all about that. So relationship upfront, communicate. What else? These people are listening. They're in a tough market. They all think their rates are high. Doesn't matter where you work. They think their rates are high because they're competing against guys like you.
It's really tough right now, Joel, and the rates are ugly. So the best way I say to get around that is sell payment. And I've always been a payment guy back to like the old refi days before we were doing all purchase business. And so when I take a loan, customer gets their offer accepted, whether it's email or we set up a call, I'm just harping on the payment. I'm not even talking about the rate. The rate is the last thing I talk about. So, someone last night got their offer accepted. I went over all the details. I said, your payment's going to be $2,700 a month. I said, that includes the taxes. It includes the PMI. I said, once you pay the loan amount, the PMI is going to come off. It's $120 a month. How does that sound to you? And they said, oh, that sounds very reasonable. That's within our budget. Oh, and by the way, what's the rate? Well, the rate's 4.75. Oh, they say, well, why is that?
It's always too high, right? It's always too high.
Yeah, no matter what it is, it's always too high. And I say, well, the good news is we can lock the loan so it won't go any higher. Rates are continuing to trend higher. We can secure that rate for you. And I say, but you know what? If the rates come back down, we do offer a float down policy so we can protect you if the rate comes down. But at least if we lock the 4.75, the rates are 5.25 next week, you're protected. And they said, well, 4.75. And I said, but you just said the payment was very comfortable for you. Isn't the payment more important than the rate? They say, oh, yeah, you're right. The payment is good. And I say, it's fixed. There's no prepayment penalty. You can always refinance the loan. And I said, yeah. I said, we're going to give you a seamless process. You self-service again. And by the end of it, they're ready to move forward. It's really that simple. I try to sell them as best as I can on that first attempt, Joel, and get them to lock and commit and move forward. You're not going to win everyone, but I find the people that shop it, it's very hard because everyone's clawing and grabbing to close a loan right now. I mean, everyone's really, and so some of these people, they'll leave you for $200 off on an appraisal, something very minimal. And if you're not the last guy in, it's easy to lose those deals. So I really try to close it. And then the other thing I would say is right now, market conditions around here, it's out of control. We're in Boston. We're really selling probably 6 months of the year. The other 6 months, it's either raining or snowing. So it's out of control. And there are clients that you're not going to win. You're just not going to get that loan. No matter what you tell them, they're going to go with an internet lender out of California. Don't waste your time. Don't keep going back to that person. Give it the best effort you can and move on to something else more productive. Don't dwell on that.
So that's a great message as well. Just to recap that's move on, people. One of the biggest problems, biggest challenges, Andrew, for people is, they're not closing a lot of loans. So they get so tied up in that one loan because they've calculated their commission on it. They spend so much time on it. Meanwhile, they could have went and got another one because they didn't move on.
Right.
And the reality of it is you and I know they were never getting it. You were never going to get it. You know when you're not getting it. No, but know that client when you're like, okay, this is never happening. I can call corporate and ask for 1% 30-year fixed, and I'm still not getting it. They're still going to go find someone that'll give them 7 8s. They're not. You're not getting it. And being able to identify those people and move on.
Yeah. I mean, time is our biggest issue too, Joel. And so the more time you spend, whether it's fixing the file that you didn't set up correctly to begin with, trying to sell the customer that would never go with you anyway, all those things, it's not just the time involved dealing with it, it also derails your head from what you should be doing. If you're supposed to be doing sales activity, building relationships, setting up appointments, doing that kind of, and you've got in the back of your head, oh my gosh, I have the problem with this income on this loan that I didn't look at correctly up front. Or, oh my gosh, I got to call this person that I've called 12 times in the last 2 days to try to sell them again. Just not worth it. Spend your effort on something more productive.
Yeah. And again, it's another thing that I say to loan officers all the time. I say, your job is actually not to do loans. Doing loans is an ancillary part of your job. Your job is to find people who know people who need loans, become best friends with those people, and get them to refer the people that need loans to you. Your job is to get the loans. Doing them, you better know how to do. It's getting them. That's the hard part. And if you're in the office all day trying to do a very hairy loan that's extremely hard, that's taking forever, where the people are shopping you at the same time, you're certainly not getting anything. Do you agree with that?
Correct. 100%.
You're getting nothing. Yeah.
No, it's about and the other thing is, like, you've got to be hungry when you're full, Joel. So, like, you take people, like, there's never like a time when I'm not trying to, every single day I come in, people say, well, how do you do those numbers? I say, I lock 3 loans every day. Now, granted, there's some days where I lock 8, 9 loans in a day, but you know what? The next day I probably lock 5. I don't go in and say, oh, I can take the next 2 days off because I just locked 9. You just have to always have that momentum moving forward and never feel like satisfied. It's a good analogy would be like, the real estate agents around here, they just leave from like Christmas through the end of January.
Check out. They're gone.
Just take off. They're in, down in Florida enjoying the humidity or something. And they take off, and then they come back, and they come March, and I talk to them and say, well, I'm really stressed out. And I said, well, what are you stressed about? So, well, I don't have anything in process right now. And I said, well, every year you take that 6-week vacation.
Shocker.
Said, yeah. I mean, like, for me, I take a lot of vacations, but they're probably, long 4-day weekends, 5 days at the most. For me, I feel like when I'm away a week, 2 weeks, I just get so far pulled out of it. It just doesn't work. So
let's talk about that a little bit. Tell people, so you're closing on average, call it 50 loans a month. And per a prior conversation you and I had, we need to get that number up. Let's just say we need to get that number up. I am personally not satisfied with that number. I'd like to see 80. I know you can do it on average. I know you got it in you. So tell people what is Andrew Marquis? You're married, right?
Yep.
And how many kids?
3 and a 5-year-old, 2.
3 and a 5-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
Busy, right?
Busy.
How far is your office from your house? I'm just curious.
So my office is probably about 4.5 miles from my house.
Okay.
It's no highway. It's just a back road, so it's very convenient. Yeah.
So tell people, give people a glimpse into Andrew Marquis, sort of a normal Monday through Friday, but let's do it like when the kids are in school, not over the summer.
Okay.
So what does your day look like?
Like a typical day for me, I wake up, probably around like 6:30, which I know is pretty late. Sometimes 6, and then I typically
we won't tell Jocko. We won't tell him.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I typically plug into the computer, Joel, around 7, and that's more or less like an email catch up from stuff that came in overnight.
But let me ask one more personal question, okay?
Yeah.
While you're doing the business that we all do when we wake up, are you already in your email? Be honest.
No.
You're not yet. Okay. So you're really not looking. It's Andrew time till 7.
What I've found, Joel, is that if you start the email like the second your eyes open, it gets me anyway, very anxious. I start thinking of all these things I have to do, and I'm not really yet mentally prepared for it. So like the first half hour of the day is, shower, doing all those ancillary things that we all do. And then, maybe having a coffee or, something to eat, and give yourself like a half hour, 40 minutes to really wake up and be in the right state of mind, then start the email. I found that having an iPad on my nightstand and start looking at it the second, I don't think that's good personally.
So in a school situation, I know you said 3 and 5, is that kindergarten or is that kindergarten in September?
In September.
Okay, September. So, but are you on the drop? Do you drop anyone at preschool? Are you dropping anyone anywhere?
Lately, no. So my
Okay.
wife's at home, Joel. My wife works 1 day a week.
Okay.
And so sometimes I would do the morning drop. Lately, I haven't been doing it as much, but we have to do parent helper days. It's a co-op school for the preschool.
Okay.
So in a week or two, I have a half day coming up where I sit in the class with all the kids the whole day and just read with them and play and help the teacher. So, I like to look at it. I probably work realistically 55 hours a week. I'm not working 100 hours a
But
week.
again, I want to interrupt this for an important announcement. When Andrew Marquis says he's working for 55 hours, people, listen to me. He's actually working. He's not pounding donuts and cruising the halls. He's actually working. And if you actually work 55 hours a week, you can get a lot done, can't you? If
Totally.
you're actually working. Sorry, keep going. I just wanted people to understand that. Because some people say, oh, I'm working 80 hours a week. And I'll go watch them. They're working 20 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like my father, he worked for General Electric for 35 years, and Joel, he never missed a day of work. Like literally, I don't think ever. Like if he was sick, he's
He
going to
went.
work. Like
Yeah.
there's no such thing as like taking a day off. Now,
Yeah.
granted, when he worked, it was 9 to 5. There
Right.
wasn't an iPhone following you around all day, but
Right.
I think I learned from him those habits. He was very habitual with like, his morning routine, his evening routine. Not all of it was good, but at the same time, I got ingrained in me that like this is yes, we have flexibility. Yes, I'm taking my family to Charleston for Memorial Day weekend for 5 days just to enjoy life. Yes, we can do that when we want, but that doesn't mean that we're not in the office, a huge amount of hours and working and really working, not just again, you locked 3 yesterday. I don't need to work the next 2 days. We don't work that way at all, and
By
people
the
do.
way, if you're going to Charleston, I don't know if you follow my Instagram or not, but
Yeah.
Lewis Barbecue. Let me say that again. Lewis
All right.
Barbecue. As
All
for
right.
the burnt
Noted. Yeah.
ends, they are not on the menu. You will be glad that I sent you there.
Lewis
Besides,
Barbecue. Okay.
yes, besides all the
All right.
other cool places. So
Cool.
you do some stuff in the morning. It sounds like the kids are up or whatever. Your wife's at home on duty for that right now, but you're about
She
to
is.
start experiencing kindergarten where they have different schedules. So you could get a drop off or something. Okay,
I
and
might,
then
yeah.
what time do you normally roll in or roll where you go? Do you ever do what I like to call B2Bs, which would be a breakfast with a partner in the morning? Do you normally autopilot right to your office? What does it look like?
Yeah, so every day I have something on the calendar, Joel, and that's so I have a business development person. So anytime anyone emails me and wants to get together, or I decide, hey, I want to reach out to this agent and catch up, I have her do all of that, and she makes my calendar. Part of my challenge lately is she's had like 2 and 3 things booked every day. And it's for me, it's not just the hour you're in the appointment, it's the half hour driving there, the half hour driving back, the catch up in the 2 hours that you missed. So I did tell her during the spring market right now, I'm down to just one thing a day. It can't be like, morning, noon, and night stuff going on. But
Right.
like, for example, I'm meeting with a realtor tonight. We're doing a buyer boot camp.
Okay.
And what he and I felt was good about that was we could market to new buyers, anyone that we could get to come in and say, hey, how do you compete in this competitive environment in Boston with low inventory sellers market, but also get all of his buyers that are currently pre-approved. We've got like 20 or 30 that we're working with, and we could kill, 30 birds with one stone and kind of talk about like contingencies. Do you maybe waive your inspection? Do you do a pre-inspection?
So tell me again, what did you call that? You call that a buyer boot camp?
Buyer boot camp, yeah.
Okay.
So to try to get buyers like really understanding what this market is versus having 40 different conversations and having no success, get them all in a room, go through it with all of them. And then hopefully after that, they're more, set to go and get that offer accepted, make a competitive offer.
So
that
it
will
sounds
work.
like it's a more locked down, what a lot of people call homebuyer seminars. This is really beyond. This is beyond that, really.
Yeah, it's a little more dialed in. We just felt like the homebuyer seminar was so cliche that we were trying to do something a little bit more different, a little bit unique. And, we'll have food and drinks. And so every day I have stuff like that. There might be, not every night, but, sometimes it might be a lunch. And it's not always a real estate agent. It could be an insurance person. It could be a financial advisor. It could be an accountant, Joel. And again, when you have those meetings, it's not how can you send me more mortgage business? It's how can we help one another? And so like, I had a recent meeting with a financial advisor yesterday, and it was like, how can we do more together? And, my idea was, I'm very busy with that volume, but we set everything up like a process. And I said, what if we made a post-closing email that went to that borrower, and it was sort of steps after closing? Congratulations on your new home. Just want to reiterate, this is when your first payment is due. This is how you're going to be contacted for those payments. Now that you're in the home and you've obtained this large asset, it might be a great time to talk with a financial advisor about protecting that asset, about setting things up if you're deciding to build a family. And not every client's going to call the financial advisor, because some are already going to have one. But I think it's a nice post-closing touch, and then that advisor is going to get some calls, and you know what? He's going to be able to refer me some of his clients. So you've always got to be thinking creatively of how you can grow the business. Like, even at whatever level you're at, you have to be doing that.
The bottom line is the top three most stressful things in life are death of a family member, divorce, or buying or selling a house. Okay? I mean, they want to talk to somebody somewhere in the process. Yeah, maybe in Seattle with a bunch of, incredibly, technological, people that never want to speak to a human being, or, just a tech center, fine. But the rest of the world, they want to talk to someone. And so, when you bring new people in, one of the problems in our business right now is that there's not a lot of great, sales leaders, sales managers for people to even learn, so they don't come in. If you're a new person, you're coming in to this, whether you're young or even older, and you're changing careers, give me a couple of nuggets that you would give that person from your point of view, how to get going. And then the second question, by the way, is going to be, you're in this business, you're closing 2 to 3 loans a month, you can't get past it, and yet you think you're working 80 hours a week and every loan is on fire. So give me number one first. You're coming in, brand new, you got licensed.
So I would say the big thing is lean and mean, Joel. So, have your expenses as low as possible, because I feel like when you're in sales and you have that burden of expenses, you're almost not selling in the best interest of the customer. You have too much pressure to try to support yourself. So I think if you can get in and have very low expenses somehow, I think that's critical. And I think, knowing your guidelines. I have a sales assistant that started 2 months ago. He's in the next room right now. He was a rental real estate agent, and he was just tired of, working the 2 months a year when everyone renews their lease and grinding it out. And, he did all the training, Joel, but I said, that's like going to school. You only use so much of it. And he really sits in our office, listens to us on the phone, looks at what we're doing on the computer, takes notes. He's been in the business now about 60 days. And he's phenomenal. He knows all the different loan programs. He can talk to customers. So be a sponge. You got to work really hard. He went home last night at 6:30, and that was the earliest he's gone home since he's been here. Every other night it's been 8, 9 o'clock at night, because this guy's taking notes. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to crush it in this business. So I would just say, be a sponge, be open-minded. Don't try to do it your own way. Listen to people. I'm listening to Joel. Joel said, go to a financial advisor, tell him you're looking for someone that wants to buy or sell a home. And immediately I was thinking, why would we want to sell a home? But then he said, for that referral, right? And so for us, if we can get a referral to a real estate agent, that thing is like gold, because then we can do the loan, right? We can show them how awesome our process is, and then they start referring their loans to us. So again, you have to always be open-minded and just be willing to accept others' ideas, but try to learn as much as you can and be a good communicator.
So learn first, so you have a slight clue what you're talking about. Now,
totally.
Let's talk about the bulk of the people that are going to be listening to this podcast. They're going to see, Andrew Marquis, he's the guy that rose from the dust, and his name is next to Shant's name now, right? At Guaranteed Rate, a great company, number 2 loan officer. They're going to be listening to this. They're sitting right now. They're closing maybe 2, 3 loans a month. They're pretty much mad and angry every day. Their rates are always too high. Their ops are always horrible. They always need better software. They never stop working. They just work all the time. Every loan is a nightmare. They hate agents. Okay. They literally, they're just in the zone. All right. This is a very high percentage of loan officers, because I'm out there. You know what I do for a living. I'm out there all day. What would you tell these people just to jumpstart? I mean, literally to just hit them with what do they need to do right now? What does that person need to do to get out of their own way?
Leave the business. No, I'm like,
that's right. And you know what? No. I think that's going to be going on pretty soon. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Glass is half full always, Joel. So you've really got to be positive and be a problem solver. And I think again, it really just keeps coming back to communication. People aren't going with Andrew Marquis because my rate's a point lower. They're going with me because I explain the process. I take the extra time up front. I actually, in some way, I give them some transparency. I say, hey, here's what we're doing. Do you have any concern? I just want to confirm your income is this. You're working here. This is your down payment. Is any of that coming from a gift? Are you borrowing from retirement funds? Spend a little bit of extra time educating that borrower so they feel like, you know what, I've already invested a half hour of my time with Andrew. I've already uploaded all my docs with Andrew. Yeah, this guy's trying to give me $200 off the closing costs, but I've never spoken with him before. With Andrew, I have that confidence. I'm going to stick with Andrew. So you really have to have a rapport, whether it's with the client or it's with the referral partner. It's critical that you have that rapport where no one's really choosing anyone because of rate right now, Joel. I tell you, they're not.
You know how I translate that?
Yeah.
The two greatest sales techniques in the world. Everyone get a pen. Guilt and sympathy. Guilt and sympathy. You can't have either one of them without a relationship, which you just called rapport. And the best loan officers in the country build rapport and build relationships at 100 miles an hour. And once they've spent all that time with you and it's invested, they feel very guilty going someplace else. And that's how I explain. That's my way to explain what you just said. Yeah.
I mean, I know, like personally, Joel, when I go to get a mortgage loan out there, I typically will do it. I won't do it through guaranteed rate just because I want to keep my information sort of separate. But all I really care about is the rate good, and are they going to do a great job with the process? I don't like if they quote me 8%, I'm calling someone else.
Right.
But if the rate's in the range, at the end of the day, I bet you if you asked 100 people what their interest rate is on their mortgage right now, 95 of them wouldn't know.
Yeah,
I barely even know what my rate is. They don't know.
Yeah.
But at the time when they're getting the house, it seems so critical. So you have to kind of sell around that a little bit.
Yeah. And one of the other things that you haven't talked about, and it's okay because I know you're doing it, but I want to explain it because people always, this is where I always get pushback. Okay. When a loan officer calls me that I'm working with and they're upset about something, I lost another loan. Classic. I lost another loan, right? And of course I first have to investigate if they ever even had it. Usually they didn't, Like, are you telling me it was in process, like locked and you lost it? Well, no, and then I start unpacking. And what I find out almost every single time is that it's an extremely weak or cold referral. When I back all the way in, I get right there, okay? I don't hear someone say I lost a loan referred by whoever one of your best partners is, Jim Smith at Remax, whoever it is, who loves you, who values what you do. Jim Smith is telling his client, listen, Andrew Marquis does not have the lowest rates and he doesn't have the highest rates, but Andrew Marquis knows what he's doing, okay? And whatever he tells you is going to happen, and we're in a seller's market right now, and I know you want this house, and that's why I'm sending him to you. You don't lose those. Those don't go away. And I wanted people to hear that, okay? They needed to hear it because you've spent the time. You glossed over this. We could be here for 8 hours. You said you're doing sales activity every day now in the spring market and the non-spring market 2 to 3 times a day. Let me tell everyone listening right now, this is not abnormal. I coached loan officers that do not do as many units as Andrew, but close. And they all do the same thing. They are all doing sales activity every day, and someone will do it twice a day. They'll book a lunch at 11 and have a salad and book another lunch at 1 and do some calls in between. And they know they got their sales activity. Then they go back to the heat of battle, and they do their thing. So I want to recap some of the things because you said some awesome stuff. And if I'm missing something that is just an Andrew Marquis thing, I want you to add it. So relationship is key. Okay, with your referral partners. Spending the time up front on the file to save all the time in the back. You are not saving any time jamming them into some technology, not even looking at it and explaining nothing. Communicating throughout the file. Communicating what's in your head to your team so you can get things done. Sell payment, not rate. Okay, all great loan officers do that. This is what you're going to need to get in. This is your payment. What's my rate? Here's your rate. Oh, that rate seems high. No problem. You could have a lower rate, but some of these things are going to change, but let's walk through this. Why would you want to do that? Okay. And by the way, for anyone that's listening, this isn't chicanery or shuck and jive. This is just people not understanding what we do, because honestly, what we do is pretty complicated. There's a lot that goes into getting a mortgage, and most consumers don't know. Move on. Huge. Move on. You have a loan you know you're never getting, okay? Don't be walking. You know that loan officer? I know you know the loan officer, where you come out of your hidey hole, right? You to like slam your chicken salad sandwich at 100 miles an hour in the middle of the day, right? And you see the person like walking around like eating cookies or whatever, mad, about one loan or whatever. That's the guy. You're like, move on. You never had that loan, right? Move on with it. Sales activity every day. Huge, everybody. Sales activity every day. Glass half full. That's a hard one for most people. It's huge to have that attitude. You have to have that attitude. If you don't, I personally think you'll fail. And the other thing you really talked about was rapport. And rapport kind of goes back to upfront, and I want to tie that together. You're building rapport and trust with the client. Almost every company, and I know that Guaranteed Rate has very slick technology. I know that. You guys have great technology, along with there's 3 or 4 other companies. You guys are all in the same bucket with technology. But with technology, if you use it the wrong way, it's like this steel ball. There's nothing warm about it. And if you just shove people into that technology and you're not talking to them, you can't app 60 people and close 58 loans. You can app 100 people and close 50 loans, because 42 are going to go away because you never talk to them. So a big message here for everyone today listening is this guy's closing 50 loans a month, and he's taking the time to talk to people, get to know them a little bit, explain things, and actually say, which, Andrew, by the way, most loan officers are scared to say this. By the way, do you understand this? Do you need me to explain it further? They don't want to say it because they can't explain it. Okay, so they're scared to say it. All right? But and what you talked about is being knowledgeable. You should be able to explain it. You should be able to say, hey, I'm not letting you off the phone, until I know that you get it, because it's important to me that you get it. Did I miss anything in the Andrew Marquis?
No, I think the only last thing I would say is just have systems, Joel. If there's some way to have a system. So, I have a system how I do all my pre-approvals. I have templated emails. I have systems for how I do the pre-approval. I then have systems once that offer gets accepted. How do I respond? They say, hey, my offer got accepted. I have a templated email response to that, which lays out some options, and then we set up a call. So have all those things kind of
Anyone can do this, right? You can be closing 2 loans a month and have a system, right?
This is Outlook. Yeah, this is Outlook. So just set things up so that it's just bing, bang, boom, and you know what you're doing, so that not everyone you're doing a different thing, and you get on a system and you sell with conviction,
Sell with conviction. Yeah. I love that. All right, so I always have to ask this question, of everyone. Yeah. Favorite food?
Let me think here. Probably pizza.
Pizza.
Very cliche, but I like pizza.
You're up there. What kind of pizza? What do you put on it?
Pepperoni, green pepper. It's good. Yeah.
It's important for me to know this right now, because in between the other podcasts, they brought me some food, but they really wouldn't let me eat it because I was busy.
You know what?
So I'm dying right now. But
I'm going to say sushi, actually.
Sushi. Okay, let's go. What is it? Sushi. Salmon skin roll.
So I just had lunch. I just had spicy tuna roll, avocado roll. That's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. Call up Eric Douglas, who I know you know.
Yeah.
And I went to a sushi restaurant in what's the big town, starts with an N? Newton. In Newton.
Yeah.
And we walked in there, and I walked in there with him and Evan, right? Which means that I felt like literally a 2-year-old.
Small Joel that day.
Tiny Joel, okay?
Yeah.
And they put us at a 6 top for the 3 of us, and we covered the table. I don't know the name of this place, but it was some of the best sushi I ever had in Boston. You probably know what I'm talking about, but I don't know the name, but it was incredible. So listen, thank you so much for coming on. Love to have you back anytime you want to come back. Look forward to seeing you when I'm up in your city in a couple months. And sorry about all the technical difficulties. For those of you that don't know the backstory, Andrew Marquis, whose hourly rate is, I don't know, $5,000 an hour, spent 5 hours setting up this camera so you all can see him while I'm talking to him. So we really appreciate that. All right.
Thanks so much for having me.
Have a good one.
Great.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.